by Hummingbird, Mercury, Nitro Boats, and by Bass Pro Shops.
We are on the shores of Pickwick Lake in Counce, Tennessee, the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite at Pickwick Lake, day one, and it's always great to be here on the Tennessee River. I don't know if there's a better time, in my opinion, to be here on the Tennessee River other than the first week of June, because there's a lot going on, and we've seen this morning a lot going, especially the offshore bite has proven to be what most guys are working towards here. And today I have with me a great guest here, John Garrett, 2016 college champion, 2017 Bassmaster Classic for John. Has been fishing the Opens the last few years, barely missed the Open, making the Elites from the Opens last year, only by a tiebreaker. So it's great to be here, have you here with us, and so much knowledge on the lake here, fish between here and Kentucky Lake, I guess most of your career?
Yeah, I live right between here and Paris Land. It's great to be here with you and watching these guys out fishing for sure.
So what's your, I guess, first of all, because we've been talking about this all morning, does it look like 80 pounds to win this event, 70 pounds, 90 pounds? Tell us, because a lot of the anglers are saying, hey, the current isn't even flowing yet, and a lot of guys are struggling because of that. But then you've got a good group of guys that have got good solid limits now this morning, and they're saying that they're way ahead of the game.
Yeah, I would say we're looking, in my opinion, north of 20 pounds a day. I'm thinking at least 20 pounds a day is going to do that. We're going to see a lot of fish get caught between noon and check-in, because they really start turning that current on later in the day here.
So it's a big deal on the Tennessee River, the current, that's for sure. So tell us what time, I'm sure you've looked at it, what time should the current kick on today?
We're looking at a good bite window after 1 o'clock today.
Okay.
They're going to turn a couple more turbines on, and fish will start getting grouped up a little better on those little special spots.
Well, we got cameras with 6 guys that we think are going to be catching when they do turn that current on. And we're going to look at them here today so far with a Toyota Midday report. And first angler here, Joseph Webster, who is technically a rookie, but certainly not a rookie. I'm sure you're familiar with him a little bit around this area, aren't you, John?
Yeah, he has a lot of experience here. He's out here all the time. So, I'm sure this having off limits here has kind of hurt him a little bit for not being out here and hurting his feelings a little bit.
Yeah, he talked to me this morning. He said, man, I'm going to try to get you a little something for live today, and he certainly did that. Got off to a good start, put 2 fish in the boat early, but the big key, in my opinion, was the quality of fish was really good for him. And it was probably an hour and a half or so before he caught his 3rd fish. You can definitely tell looking here that the size of fish that he's really trying to focus on are much bigger than a lot of these other anglers. And that's certainly what you've got to do on the Tennessee River. Next angler that everybody knows for sure, he's currently leading Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Brandon Polinick, and Brandon got off to a start. Unfortunately, he had several boats around him this morning, but that's certainly to be expected here this time of year, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's not a whole lot of schools out right now, and the ones that are, they're pretty visible. Everybody's so good with their graphs now; they're pretty easy to find.
Speaking of visible, Brandon Polinick's wife is visibly very pregnant right now. I think about 1 or 2 days overdue. There's been a lot of talk whether he'll stay and continue to fish this event if she does have their first child, but that'll be interesting. A lot going on for Brandon Polinick. When you're leading Angler of the Year, you don't get those opportunities. He's got one to his credit already in his young career, but you don't get those opportunities a lot. We'll see how this unfolds with his fishing day and also with his wife having their first child.
That's a hard choice to go with where you need to be for sure.
So one of the anglers that was fishing right beside Brandon Polinick this morning is Chad Pipkins. And Chad Pipkins, a northern angler, does well when we go up north later in the year, usually catching the smallmouth bass. But Chad has really gotten a reputation in the last couple of years. These offshore tournaments, I remember Lake Fork a few years ago, several times on the Tennessee River here. Chad Pipkins loves to use his electronics. Finesse fishes for these fish a lot. Also, we've seen him catch a few giants on big crankbaits, but has certainly become a well-rounded fisherman and enjoys these offshore tournaments. Chad Pipkins, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, John. Him and Brandon Polnick fishing real close together and acting like, you know, they're best buds, and several anglers there really, really close to one another. Things might heat up when the current turns on and those fish get a little bit bigger this afternoon. So here's one angler that I'm sure you know more about and competed against him through the years, Justin Atkins. He's here on his home waters and had a little bit of a slow start this morning, but I'm sure he's one of those guys that's waiting on that water to turn on.
Yeah, Justin, he lives on a lake here. We fish a lot of tournaments, spend a lot of time together, and he has enough places in the back of his mind that he's going to go to when he thinks the timing's right. And that's kind of the whole deal. So I'm expecting him to catch a few fish this afternoon. Sure.
Yeah, that's certainly why we got a camera with Justin. A lot of people expecting big things from him this week. A lot of pressure on you being on your home waters, but I'm hoping he'll pull through for us. Speaking of people pulling through for us, Carl Jacobson, another angler we've had on camera today, and he's got a good start. He's another angler fishing around some of the other anglers. I mean, I think if you're going to be offshore this day and time on the Tennessee River, you've got to expect to be fishing around other anglers. And it's really interesting that you see all the tricks of the trade, all the different ways that they try to trick these fish and catch these fish. Carl Jacobson with a spinning rod in his hand right now, and I noticed this morning, if you look, one whole side of his bow of his boat has nothing but finesse spinning rods there with him. Another angler that everybody expects to do well when we come to the Tennessee River, not just Lake Chickamauga, but Pickwick, Kentucky Lake, Guntersville. Buddy Gross is, one of the best in the business fishing offshore on the Tennessee River. We've seen that not only in Tennessee River, St. Johns River, Harris Chain. He's a well-rounded fisherman. We saw him get a win on Lake Eufaula fishing brush piles. But when you're offshore, you got to keep in mind what Buddy Gross is doing. Had a slow practice his first 2 days, but really got on something yesterday. I had to say he's the first angler that I've seen put a fish in a boat on a big crankbait. A lot of these guys seem to be using soft plastic.
Yeah, and another thing with Buddy, he's not only a tremendous offshore fisherman, he's really, really good at finding stuff offshore and not being right on top of somebody else too, finding something on his own.
Little subtle things. That's exactly what he did in Florida with that win. And so now we're going to see if we can dial in with Brandon Polnick here on beautiful Pickwick Lake, fishing offshore. Got trying to catch a good limit on his mind, and also his wife and child right around the corner here in the next day or two.
Yeah, he has a lot of things going on for him right now.
Oh, that feels decent. Oh, that's a good one. Gosh, he choked it. Yeah, come on. Oh, come here. Yeah! Look at that. Mega swimmer
That
gone.
fish will definitely help Brandon Polnick.
Mega swimmer gone. Oh, yeah. Yes!
Like he had that swim bait on a Tokyo rig, didn't he?
Yeah,
like
that
a
looked
VMC Tokyo
That
rig.
looked different.
That'll
that's for
definitely get
sure.
rid of a 2-pounder.
Biggest fish I've seen him
That's
land.
gotta be a 4-pounder.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a huge help.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was an upgrade there, boys. 4.5 pounder. What number was that? Number 1. Sorry, Samsonite.
Yeah, you go to culling 2-pounders with 4.5 pounders. That's
Big improvement.
the direction you want to go in.
Golly. All right, hold on. You sit in there for a second.
I like the bait choice there. Something different those fish aren't seeing, and he's fishing slow, but something to still get a bigger bite than dragging a worm or football jig.
Get a look at this fish again.
Gosh, they got close again.
fish here. And I've noticed this. Brandon Polnick,
Where you fat
I
Sally's going?
had been fishing the elites for a number of
Come to
years.
Papi.
Or been fishing the Bassmaster Tournament Trail for a number of years for sure. When he came along, and I've seen him. He was a great angler. Came here, nation champion. He was a great angler then, but boy, he's gotten better each and every year. Fishing shallow, fishing deep, fishing smallmouth, largemouth. That's why he's leading angler of the year. Got a great chance to win it for a second time.
Great, we've had it to ourselves the whole time. Haven't even had anyone try to get on it, so maybe
it was a VMC
no one else
Tokyo
found this
rig
route, but
on that swim bait.
we caught a 3.5, one a little over 4. And I caught 2-pounders here in practice, and that's the biggest fish I've caught since I've been here. So it's a good sign. Hopefully we can keep it going. Stick it out here just a little longer. I think one of the biggest things is that the current just got going as getting these fish grouped up, set up. It'd be nice.
So, John, I've fished the Tennessee River, I guess, longer than you've been alive, maybe, but you fish it a lot more recent years than me. Do the class of fish, like he was saying there, that caught nothing but 2-pounders there in practice, and do they change overnight here?
They do, and a lot of times that those bigger fish are still with those smaller ones in the same schools, but a lot of times just getting those fish to bite. They're so smart. There's so much pressure out here. One of the biggest things here is that it's so deep compared to a lot of the other TVA lakes. It's so easy to go over those fish with your down image and see those fish. So they get a little more pressure directly where they're sitting than I say what most places do. But right now we're looking at still fresh fish coming back and forth to the bank, and they're definitely better fish swimming out there every day. Those schools getting some fresh bites each and every day.
And you stop it, and then that bait just sits there, and it's not on the bottom. It's just kind of hovering there, so it's just a little extra realism for them, it seems like.
Kind of like a mini drop shot.
Yeah. Pretty much.
You see the rods on his front deck. I was at takeoff this morning, and every boat that I saw, even guys that normally have 2 or 3 on each side on the front deck, every boat I saw had about as many rods as you can put on the front deck on both sides, and a few of them even had that full and another 8 or 10.
School gets all broken up.
But beside your partners.
Yeah.
Incredible. How many different baits the anglers had rigged up this morning?
And a lot of these people probably have not fished for the schools they've seen, so they really don't know which school, what bait. So
do you do that here? You just graph and look for schools and not necessarily fish for them?
Yeah, if I had a tournament coming up, I would strictly be scanning. The only time I would be making a cast if I seen some fish around a stump or a brush pile, because a lot of times those fish related to that cover, it could be drum or catfish or whatnot. So if I'm looking at just the hard bottom and I see fish, I usually don't fish for them. You don't want anyone to see you, and I don't want to make any fish smarter than I have to.
That's right.
And some of these guys haven't been here before, so the more time they spend behind their graph, the more water they cover, more places they have to hit.
Yes, tournament fishing to me is all about time management. You want to cover as much water as you can, and then when you're fishing, you want to keep your bait in the water as much as you can. But if you can spend your time idling at 3 or 4 miles an hour versus having to make every cast, every 30 feet down a ledge, you can cover
right now, 'cause there's that big log floating down the river.
100 times more.
Yep. And what's crazy here is that, you may find a school of fish on the main river channel and 20 foot of water, but that doesn't really mean exactly that's the pattern to go on. These fish seem to, a good spot's a good spot, whether it's in 8 foot of water, those fish could be there, or whether if it's in 30 foot of water, those fish are going to be there. So knocking down a pattern on, this lake is pretty much there's not one, I'm going to say.
So what makes a good, because we did talk about this a little bit this morning, what makes a good spot this time of year when you've got fish in 8 feet and 30 feet?
Yeah, for me, it's more of what a real good spot is more of a feeding flat. And see where Brock Mosley is here.
Bay Springs.
Bay Springs is a long ways from Pickwick there. This is a pretty popular lake for a lot of locals to come to here. I'm kind of surprised to see one of our guys there fishing.
I think we've got a few there. Is it? I can remember covering tournaments years ago, and a few guys would run to Bay Springs. He's hooked up here. Is it known to have better quality fish now like it did, let's say, 6 or 8 years ago?
It has a really good quality of largemouth in there. Not really a super strong population. It has a really big population of spotted bass. There's some really big largemouth that live there. I believe he has a big spot.
Does look like a spot.
He ain't as thick as that other one, but he's a good one.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Can you win this event catching spots?
If this tournament was in February, I'd say maybe, but not right now. Those spots just don't weigh enough.
They don't. They don't weigh enough because we're on the Tennessee River. I mean, we hope for Brock Mosley's sake that some of those do get a little bigger for him, but when you're on the Tennessee River, you know you're going to have to catch fish like Brandon Lester, 19 pounds, 10 ounces, only about not even halfway through his fishing day. Jason Christie, 17 pound, 8 ounces. Cody Huff and a lot more coming back. We'll be back on Tennessee River, Pickwick Lake in just a few minutes.
Tundra. Toyota, let's go places.
It's something to be proud of. It means to protect the sport. It's heritage. To wear that shield right there, it means passion from start to finish. Whether you're a young teenager like I was or a seasoned vet, you need to see the path to success. That's what B.A.S.S stands for, is offering a tournament circuit for every age level.
Dream big and join B.A.S.S.
After I returned from Iraq, I was really reluctant to talk to people.
I remember telling him, you need to get the help that you've earned. Go seek treatment.
It's always good to be with other veterans.
Veterans that have gone through the struggles, that have been through the storm.
That was just what I needed.
There's so many more things left for us to do. Connect with someone at the VA. You really don't have anything to lose by checking into it and seeing what they can do for you.
This Mental Health Month, hear inspiring stories at maketheconnection.net/MHM.
The ZX Series has been Skeeter's #1 selling boat of all time, and it keeps getting better with the ZXR Series. Proven with 21 consecutive NMMA Consumer Satisfaction Awards, the Skeeter ZXR, a true fishing machine, pushing the limits of possibilities. Fun or on the tournament trail, the ZXR gives you the edge you're looking for to catch more fish. The Skeeter ZXR. Experience one for yourself at your local dealer. Learn more at SkeeterBoats.com.
That is a fact. So many people, when they think about scents, they think about the old technology that were smelly and gooey and messy. Bait fuel is none of that. It's clean, doesn't smell bad, and it works. As bass fishermen and just fishermen in general, we are always looking for an edge. Bait fuel is going to be that edge.
I've made my living on the water for over 20 years.
For 14 years.
For over 23 years.
I've worn a bunch of different clothing brands over the years.
Some companies big.
And some companies small.
All of them said they were making clothing for us.
But none of them knew us.
None of them were us.
Except for one.
Except for one.
Except one.
AFCO.
AFCO.
AFCO. AFCO.
Fishing isn't part of us. It is us.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Since 1971, Basscat Boats has innovated, persistently thinking outside the box, never abandoning their roots or the commitment to quality through their process. Clearly visible in the new Puma STS, their design and development continues to evolve, improving performance, enhancing the angler's experience, and broadening the appeal of the sport they have dedicated their lives to. Basscat Boats. Feel the rush.
Football? Nah. Baseball? Did it. Motocross? Got hurt. I choose to fish. And fish. And fish.
Look at the size of that bass!
Live coverage of the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite at Pickwick Lake is sponsored by TH Marine.
Hey everyone, Bill Lowen here. Last day of practice at Lake Pickwick.
Look at the size of that one! Oh my God!
And I'm not gonna do anything out of the ordinary. You know, I'm gonna throw my Lure Parts Online jig, same jig I caught them on last time we were here when I won. It's my signature series Lure Parts Online jig and that black and blue flash. I'm gonna alternate that between black and blue and green pumpkin. Getting a lot of bites on a Strike King Rage Bug. But honestly guys, I'm just junk fishing, fishing whatever's in front of me. You know, I'm trying to concentrate on the back of the pockets, but I'm trying to concentrate on the channel swings in the deeper water. Any kind of cover that's setting by that deep water, whether that be a stump, a laydown, water willow, a dock, anything that may have a little bit of deeper water left on it in the back of those pockets, that's what I'm concentrating on. And like I said, it's a different time of the year. I'm gonna go play my game, so stay tuned with us and let's see what happens.
Definitely a different time of year, but we all remember Bill Lowen getting his first win here. Everybody's a fan of Bill Lowen. He's been fishing the Bassmaster Tournament Trail for a very long time, and it was a pleasure for, I think, everyone watching last year to see him catch that 8-pound fish that put him over top. I think it was 8 pounds, 5 ounces.
This tree right here should have one in it.
Actually roomed with Denny Brower, and Denny told him go catch a big one the last day on a black blue jig and win, and that's exactly what he did.
In here. He's gonna stretch. I think he's gonna make it.
I believe he called a shot there a little too easy, didn't he?
Yeah.
I got me a brown one.
Up a smallmouth.
So has
he's lost. Hey, guess what? It's a bite.
Has it surprised you how many smallmouth we've seen caught so far here today?
No, not really. There's a really big population of smallmouth here. It's just certain times of year they shine over others.
Yeah, when we've been here in February, March, April, there's always a player.
You know?
But really surprising me, you know, for it to be June. And
yeah.
We have smallmouth now out in the giant schools offshore.
Whatever
we have
was
them
there,
up on bluff walls and pig gravel points right now.
You know?
So I think we'll see a lot of good smallmouth get caught. I don't think someone's necessarily going to be targeting one, just kind of like what Bill Lowen just did. He just stumbled upon one.
Yeah.
And it really seems those smallmouth have excelled in some of the new forage we have here is those smaller Asian carp. Those smaller carp don't really relate to anything, and those smallmouth kind of get out there with them, able to run them down and kind of have a food source on their own.
There wasn't very many down here where I'm fishing.
That's interesting.
Taking a gamble. I hate to pass them because I'm going to work my way all the way back now.
Not the effect that gobies have had on the Great Lakes, but a positive effect in its own way here.
Yeah.
Huh. We need something to eat them, don't we?
Yeah,
Those
we do.
Asian carp.
Yeah.
Smallmouth would be great. So, John, you fished obviously the highest levels, not barely missing the elites last year, but through college and doing very well on the opens. Bill Lowen's got a style of his own. I did see him this morning offshore, and I'm like, oh, Lord, Bill, don't do that very long. Because he cashes checks like 3/4 of the time, which is great, a great percentage. Do you try to be more versatile and fish shallow, deep, and everything in between, or just stick to one, shallow or deep?
Yeah, usually I try to be versatile. I'll go shallow if I'm on a shallow fishery, or deep if I'm somewhere, like this. Bill does so good. He sticks that flipping rod in his hand. He goes to work no matter where he's at, and he has his style of fishing. And I think that more so we're losing that as younger generations coming up, because
roaming around.
We have so many people that are trying to do everything, and there's a lot of people that's good at everything. But Bill is just really good at what he does.
Those big ones to bite. Yeah, it's like I have to.
Speaking of good
catch
at everything,
one
Brandon
on a
Paul
bait,
Nick.
switch it up. Catch one more, switch it up. Like it's hard to get them going where you just keep catching them on the same thing. But I think the current has definitely helped push some of these bigger ones and position them, get them where they're willing to bite. Those kind of look like they're set up like spoon eaters. Let's see.
That fish that Brandon caught a few minutes ago, 4.5 pounder, moved him up quite a bit all the way
current sweeps
to
it away.
19th place.
I'm behind him now.
So you hear Brandon talking often about not only forward facing, but 360 and all the different side imaging, down imaging. It's amazing that all the tools that we have now, and it seems to make the fishing, I hate to say easier, but better for a little while. But now it's almost like if you don't have that, you certainly can't trick these fish.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, that equipment is helping almost anybody that has some to find those fish offshore. So it's making more people know where those fish live. And when they get in those areas, even if the fish move a little bit, they're able to still just throw right on top of them consistently.
Yeah. Justin Atkins, very slow start this morning, but we were all thinking it's just a matter of time. Currently in 22nd place.
And Justin knows what he needs to catch this tournament, and he's not going to be out on one of those really big schools of fish where it's easy to catch a 2.5 pounder. I'm sure he's fishing for a little better quality fish than what a lot of people are fishing for right now.
So do you think the pressure has made the bigger fish kind of become loners, not school up together as much as they did?
I'll say more of a wolf pack deal, a smaller school of fish, and they don't really sit where you would think they would sit for a long period of time. They'll be, looks like he's missing out.
Gosh, I think he broke off.
Sure did.
Just retied too.
Yeah, but those days of sitting in one spot, catching 100 fish, and most of them being good fish, they're behind us now. And those bigger fish are smart enough. They're not going to sit in one place all day and let a big worm or a jig hit it in the head. So they move on and off these places as they feed throughout the day.
So I got a question for you, and I'll tell you my answer to the question before I give you the question.
All right.
I know the reason I didn't break off a lot of my careers because I use rope, not a lot of light line. But I see people break off, and I'm like, multiple times a day, some anglers, and is it they're using 4 and 6 pound test line more than I ever dreamed of, or?
Yeah, I think that we are trying to go down and pound test line to hopefully compensate in more bites throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of fish get broke off.
I agree, and here's something, and I'm sure Justin has got the right setup, but just for conversation, because you talk to anglers, at a local level. When you downsize line, you have to downsize the equipment. The rod, the reel, the line, they all have to match. You don't throw 8 pound tests on a heavy flipping stick with a bait caster. It just, and vice versa. You don't need 30 pound fluorocarbon on a spinning reel either.
Yep, exactly.
Just have to be sure and the hook size also. Yep. All 4 of those things, rod, reel, line, and hook size, they all have to be similar.
Yeah, and when we downsize, sometimes like what we might be seeing here is it's hard not to jerk on them. When they're way out there, it's hard to tell yourself that.
It's hard to tell yourself that always. And my son that I fished with, his whole life, and now he doesn't get to go. He's in the military, doesn't get to go as much as he would like. And I cannot, you cannot jerk that hard. But, even when he downsizes his line, but he cannot help it. I mean, it's just, it's tournament day, and you want to set the hook. It's hard not to, especially the extra pressure here for Justin being on his home water. We put pressure on ourselves when it's not necessary, but as an angler, I know when I was fishing either my home water or even my my home state, anywhere close to where my family and friends would be there, you just put a lot of extra pressure on yourself to do well for your family and your fans.
Yep, and like what Justin's doing, he's fishing specific spots, and the anticipation of when you throw your bait into a good spot, you get worked up, you're expecting a bite, and sometimes it's better if that fish surprises you when he eats it. You're not all worked up when he bites.
So you think he's fishing isolated stumps and brush, that sort of thing, or hard bottom?
I'm thinking he's fishing just small specific areas. Might be a little shell bed with a stump on it, or a smaller group of fish, something like that, or maybe even a small deep patch of eelgrass even.
How much eelgrass is here on the lake right now?
It's not as much as what it usually is. There's a fair amount. It's not real tall, but we have some growing in that 6 to 12 foot range, and it grows up about 2 foot tall. It's real patchy. There's not a whole lot of just 100-yard stretches of it.
Yeah, he. To your point, I was looking at Justin there. You saw him swing his boat, looking for one specific target before he made a cast there. Hooked up now. Oh my goodness.
That was a good splash out there.
It really was. I didn't see the fish, but I saw the splash. So he missed one, broke one off, and then that fish jumped off. Probably because he didn't set the hook as hard as he did last time, because he was cautious about. Things just start compounding. And
pressure builds and builds on it.
It does.
At least he's starting to get a few bites, though.
Exactly.
I know I don't make him feel any better right now, but.
We're all frustrated when we lose a fish, there's no doubt. So we got 91 anglers here fishing, and Justin Atkins, one of the favorites, no doubt about it. A local that everyone knows is a great fisherman. The cool thing about the 91 anglers right here, right now, as you can see, they are spread out from the Wilson Dam to the Pickwick Dam and everywhere in between. See Gerald Swindle there had a great tournament at Lake Fork just 2 weeks ago. Great tournament, but Brandon Lester, who really caught him early I'd say this morning, and I think kind of backed off of him. Jacob Fouts, no surprise seeing him up there in second place. Got a lot more fishing coming back at the Whataburger Bassmaster Elite at Pickwick Lake. We'll be right back in just a minute.
I'm not like you.